Stargate's been really interesting when it comes to its patches and every single incarnation it's come in, from SG-1 to Atlantis all the way to Universe. Actually, even the original movie had some really interesting patches itself. The SG-1 started with a very basic setup. They had a numbered groups that would go out and they were all designated by their numbers. So SG-1, SG-2, etc. were all worn on one sleeve, and then an all-encompassing Earth patch was worn on the other. Later seasons did include the United States Air Force patch. That's for a completely other reason and was mentioned in a previous video. Now Atlantis changed all that. Atlantis said we're gonna have an Atlantis patch, which is similar to the Earth patch, and then they were designated by their country codes, not for any particular reason. They weren't separated into their own countries. They were all just there for kind of a reference, to show more of a global aspect rather than just an American group like an SG-1. Now the Icarus patch was really interesting, and they had some really interesting details. I was not as big on collecting for that series. I may at some point still jump in to get a uniform so I can have all three up on my wall here. But it's a really interesting look, and I really liked it. It had a really nice contrast compared to the previous. Now, obviously the Atlantis one was based on the Pegasus galaxy, so it had the Pegasus look to it. And it was really interesting, but this one had the whole Icarus thing. And Icarus, being from Greek mythology, was really interesting to me how they incorporate that design, and I really like the design of it. As I've mentioned in my previous patch videos as well, when fans like a series, or any series, and there are patches involved, they jump right in and get some amazing art done and rush to get patches made to replicate the ones on the screen. And unfortunately, by rushing into things, they do fall short. Now, they're great for what they are, and people have done some amazing work. I'm not ever down saying any of that, but they're not accurate. And again, thankfully, real ones made its way into the wild thanks to the PropWorks auctions, and I was able to get a hold of some thanks to Stitch's Law. Now, Ryan lent me these patches. They were amazing to behold, and I couldn't wait to try and replicate these patches. And I think they came out really good. Now, one of the big changes when it comes to making a patch fresh and new is that they're missing a number of things. Often, the patches that are screen used, you don't notice looking on screen, but they've either been doctored, or they've been dirtied, or they've been well worn. You never know, and it's really amazing to see how much a clean patch looks to a dirty patch. Thankfully, one of the patches that Ryan did donate to me had no backing on it, no Velcro, no nothing. It was just a single solitary patch, which we're able to look and see the clean threads behind it. But as you're seeing here, this is an original patch. It's got a lot of awesome details to it, and a couple really interesting things to note. Mainly, the backing was ripstop. They didn't use the typical twill or anything like that, and they've used a number of different materials actually throughout the entire series, depending on the patch. These ones are specifically ripstop, and they're pretty cool, so we did try and replicate that as much as possible as well for these. Also, as neat is the gradiated pattern. Now, it's on screen, it actually looks like it goes from yellow to white, but it had a kind of like an intermediate middle color, which was kind of yellow and white, and went right through it too. So it went really good. Replicating that has proven to be kind of difficult, looking at all the different fan patches that came out. I think we really nailed it. So as you're looking here, you can see my patch design, and I'm ecstatic about it. The colors are 90% there. Again, as I've mentioned, the difference between clean, brand new threads and old, dull threads is also the fact that these are done years later, and oftentimes you can only match so far, and you only get a selection to match. Likely when they went in, they said, I want this blue. Doesn't mean I get that blue anymore, but I got it matching almost, not like I said, 90%, I think, pretty close to what it looks like. Proportionally, it's the same. It's scissor cut like the original, and it is on ripstop as well. So there you go, an iconic patch from an iconic series. I was really sad it only lasted 2 seasons. I would have loved to see another 3 easily. I think it was just finding its legs, but fortunately, there are still ways to watch it. I definitely encourage you to watch it if you've not seen it yet. Be sure to click here to subscribe to check out my other videos. I will have more patch videos coming up. I have some more exciting ones coming for now, for sure. But also check the description if you want to know where to purchase these. Stitch's Loft has been selling all the patch designs that I've done, and they're well worth to get. There's only a limited number of these, so make sure you jump in and grab them if you want them. Like I said, it's really close to the original ones. It's kind of like the next best thing to get the original ones, especially considering the ones that you can get on eBay and whatnot that are a little off the mark. But anyway, be sure to click here if you want to check out my USAF patch, and click here to check out my Atlantis patch video. Both videos are really interesting. I have more. These aren't the only ones I have. I have the Earth patch still to do, and the Pegasus patch coming up as well, so I will have those shortly. Be sure to stay tuned, and as always, thanks for watching.